Spooky.
That is really spooky. That is, well, it's even spookier when you put the light actually on me. So maybe we shouldn't do that. Do you think we should do the entire episode just like that? So that, like, no one can see us whatsoever. Do you think that contributes to the to the crazy, wacky... Oh, how come it's in my face, though?
I can resist.
Do you think we should do the entire episode like this?
Yeah.
You look completely
so
scary.
Creepy.
You look completely... And actually, my little angel, you look angelic. Okay, so maybe not so much. Hi, my name is Christopher Balzano.
And I'm Ella Balzano.
And welcome to Tripping on Legends. Okay, you're gonna... Like that?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Tripping on Legends live show. And I guess technically we can call this Tripping on Legends with Children live show. She's reaching for her tea. We've titled this the Paranormal Vacation, or the Haunted Vacation, right? Because the idea or the concept behind tonight's show is... I like how I've taken all these notes. I'm not going to be able to see any of them. So thank heavens that I'm...
This is flash.
No, I got it. I'm fine.
Sure?
I've got wicked good eyes.
All right. Sure.
We've decided to, for this break, go on an actual legend trip. And I'll explain kind of what has inspired this. And what we're going to do is... Come closer to me, girl. What we're going to do is we're going to set up several different... scenarios, several different potential legend trips, and then we're going to ask that the audience decides where we're going to go. So do you feel comfortable putting it in the hands of the audience what we're actually going to do for our spring break? Most people, right, go to spring break. What do they do when they go to spring break? Do you know?
Just lounge around. Champ, stop it!
Do you know what most people do when they go to spring, like colleges, for example? What do they do when they go on spring break?
I don't know.
They come here to Florida. But we're thinking about actually leaving Florida to go someplace completely different, trying to find the ultimate legend trip, the ultimate thing. But before we get into that... Oh, do you have a question already?
Would it be like out of the country? Could it be like out of the country?
It can't be out of the country because, as people know, Daddy doesn't have a passport.
I was going to say Colchester Castle.
I know.
What is that? Oh, I thought those were orbs. I got so scared.
Katie, you completely freaked her out. She thought it was... But I wanted to start out by saying that there is, I believe, a ghost in this house. I think I can confirm that there is a ghostly presence in this house.
Really?
Yes.
Wait, I was not informed of this. Can you...
The last couple of days, I've been noticing things misplaced.
I think I brought ghosts back with me from St. Augustine.
Things moved. I've noticed that things that I've left out or that were there are not there anymore.
My headphone case.
Well, I'm thinking more of the massive candy that has been found missing in this house since Valentine's Day.
You think it's like a lovesick?
I think that we have a little ghost named Ella that's been eating all the Valentine's Day candy and moving it all over the place. What do you think?
I think so too.
You think so too? Yeah. So
it's Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day, so I guess all candy is So maybe that's Florida's haunted love stories. That's not a comment. That's my comment. Maybe it's Florida's haunted. They'll appear there. Maybe that's Florida's haunted love stories come to the house, or maybe it's something a little less...
Oh my god, my dog's scared me.
A little less paranormal. So I'll only do the episode with this light on. And yet the funny thing is that she's scaring herself by doing it.
I'm scaring myself.
Now, there has been some talk of potentially bringing Devin in later on in the episode to confirm, but Ella is vehemently opposed to that. So it's really funny because I just got a message on my phone, which we will look at later. You just went to at least the most famously haunted place in Florida.
St. Augustine.
St. Augustine. What did you think? Give us your opinion. Give us your run on St. Augustine and the paranormal stuff that
Literally, like, almost everywhere we went, there was, like, a legend of... Like, we went to the lighthouse. We went to Castillo de San Marcos. We went to the graveyard. We went to the gates.
Anyone following our social media is going to see that Ella... I posted one video of Ella reading ghost stories to the people on the bus.
Okay.
On the way there to try to get them hyped up.
I was reading that to Morgan, but I didn't know any other people were listening.
Everyone was listening, so you were pretty much freaking the entire bus out. Do you think, so let's just throw this out there, right? Like, throw this out there because would you be interested in, like, an extended trip for spring break? Like going to St. Augustine, spending a little bit more time and actually looking more into the legends. Like, you've just been there, you've done it. Would you be interested in going to St. Augustine again? St. Augustine's again?
St. Augustine.
Okay, whatever.
Maybe.
Do you care to elaborate on that? Seeing that, like...
Because I really, like, it's the only time I'll be able to, like, go out of the state for, like, a legend trip, and so maybe I just don't, like, want to spend the time in Florida to a place I've already been.
So you want to do something new and different. Okay.
Out of the state.
So out of the state. So as we go on doing this, you can feel free to, if you're watching live, to shoot out whatever you think is an interesting place for us to go, whether it's someplace you've heard of, someplace you've been to, someplace that is famous in your area. You know, we have people from all across the country who follow Tripping on Legends with Kids. If you want to take it one step further, you can call during the show, and the number is 813-418-6822. And I've already warned Ella that we've had some weird people who have been calling the show during the live shows. So we'll see what's up with that, whether they call in. And maybe they have a good suggestion. I don't know, last time they were just speaking in like a weird language. The other part of this is that you can, if you didn't catch the show live, you had it perfect. There you go. If you didn't catch the show live, you can feel free to call us at that number and leave a message, or you can even email us.
There's plenty of time between spring break and now.
Yes, at spookytripping@gmail.com. And of course, you can, if you're not watching it live, you can always send a message to us at Tripping on Legends via Facebook, which is facebook.com/trippingonlegends. So any of those ways you want to get in contact with us about what you think the ultimate legend trip spring break extravaganza is. So let me start by asking you, Ella, what would you be looking for in the ideal, perfect legend trip vacation? What is something that you would be like, oh, I have to do this, or Dad, can we please get this done or go to this kind of place, even if it's not a specific? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, because I know you've been doing some research, I'm going to ask, you look all devious, I'm going to ask you what place specifically you might want to too. So before we get into specifics, tell me the kind of place you would like to go to. So what would it have?
You won't like this.
Uh-oh. I don't know what that is.
It's like a hospital.
You got to say it to them.
Asylum.
You want to go to an asylum.
Like the Penhurst Asylum.
Like Penhurst Asylum. Why? Okay, so anyone who's not following our social media, you might know that, or you probably don't know that, Ella and her brother, which is kind of what sparked some of this, Ella and her brother have been obsessed with
this show.
What's the show?
It's called BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural. We watch it on Hulu.
So they have been absorbing that. They've been like consuming it like crazy, and they love the attitude of those guys. And they're like, why can't you be cool like them? So they've seen a lot of these places, and of course, some of them I've been to, and some of them I know a lot about. And one of them is on our list. One of the episodes that is one of their favorites. I'm not going to tell you which one.
You guys have to wait for that.
So you want to go to Pinehurst? Okay, tell them about what that is, because this is a famous case. So along the way, we are going to be talking about probably some pretty famous
and
paranormal and supernatural cases. So can you tell it first of all, where is that located?
kind of forgot.
They've watched the episode like 20 times. They have no idea where it's from, where it is.
But I know it's in the United States. But Penshurst Asylum is basically, it used to be a school, but apparently it shut down because there was like things that were happening to people.
Like what?
Like there was a doctor called Dr. Fear,
Mm-hmm.
and as punishment, he would inject people there who they had as in like, they called everyone their children, even though most people were like in their 20s there.
Mm-hmm.
But Dr. Fear would inject people who needed to be punished with the most painful injection that won't cause harm.
Okay, and what was that?
I don't know, I know.
Oh, wow. Talk about leaving out an important detail for anyone who has to babysit their kids. Or and why would you want to go to that?
Because it's haunted.
Yeah, okay, but like what else? Like what about, I mean, there's plenty of other places that are haunted. Why something like an insane asylum? Like why do you think that would be?
Because I think, oh my god, the smoke detector. The smoke detector.
It's good to know that they're working. Continue.
But I like, it's cool to think that like people who are like insane or mentally unstable lived there, and I wonder what their ghosts would be like, or the legends.
Or how the
would
ghosts.
be more
Okay.
the legends.
So here's my issue with that. It's in Pennsylvania.
It is.
So do you know where do you keep looking at?
Not the tree.
Okay.
It's scaring me.
You've scared yourself by keep turning all the lights off.
I know.
So this, Pennsylvania, so it's about probably maybe 1,300 miles away, which is not crazy. I mean, we do have a week, but it is like before New York, so it's past.
I had another thing that I wanted to do, but I don't remember what it was.
You don't remember what it was?
Can you give me a second? I'm just gonna
Sure.
you just talk.
Sure. So I'll talk, and are you listening to me while you think too? Because here's the deal: like we are tripping on legends. We don't generally go to the most famous places, but this is kind of a little bit of a different thing, right? What are the legends there? Like, because I feel like a place like that, there's no legend attached to it. It's just a wicked haunted place. Has anyone been there? If you've been there, you can feel free to comment on it, or if you know stuff about it. But it is like there's no legend behind it. There's no story. Like the stuff that happened there really happened there.
I know where we can go.
Okay, so this is Ella's suggestion number 2. Ella's suggestion number 1 was Pinehurst Asylum. Is that what it's called? Okay, Pinehurst Asylum, not Pinecraft, which we just came from. Pinehurst Asylum. Next one is what?
I'm gonna give you a hint. I'm dancing on your bridge. It's my bridge now.
Okay, now we're getting a little bit more into tripping on legends territory. Go ahead.
The
Talk to them.
Goatman's Bridge!
The Goatman Bridge. Tell them about the Goatman Bridge.
So the Goatman Bridge is basically like, it was a regular bridge that like connected this one really big city and this one city who had like the population of one.
Mm-hmm.
And so the bridge connecting it, I don't remember what it was called. It was called Old Something Bridge.
Yeah.
But basically, it said that like people like did rituals underneath and on the bridge.
Yeah.
And
What kind of rituals did they do?
Like sacrificial rituals and
Okay.
like hell opening portal thingies.
Hell opening portal thingies, as long as we could be as specific as possible.
So basically, it said that like because they did all of that,
Yep.
they released a demonic entity that was half man, half goat.
Half man, half goat. And for those of you guys who follow the show, last live show, so 2 shows ago, the last live show was supposed to be a bunny man / goat man extravaganza.
Oh yeah, the bunny man bridge.
And we never got into...
That one's kind of scary.
We never got fully into the goat man story because Bunny Man Bridge just had so much more going on with it that it was like...
I wasn't in that.
You weren't in that one. No, that was just me.
So you gotta tell me something more about that.
Well, I will. Maybe, if that's on my list. I don't know. Is it on my list? Can't tell.
Can't see.
What about the Goatman Bridge is appealing to you?
Demonic.
And do you think that they would take my children away if I brought them to a demonic bridge at night? Like traveled, once again, so that's in Maryland, right? So we're talking...
I believe so.
We're talking 1,000 miles or so. So we're talking like a good 15, 16-hour drive. drive. I mean, maybe we would hit some urban legends on the way there. But what about that would be appealing to you? Why would you want to do that?
Can we turn the lights on?
Okay, we can.
I'm getting really scared.
Okay, she's freaking herself out. I think it's hilarious that after all that we've been through and all the places we've gone, her own house. But maybe it's because she. Oh, there we go. Maybe it's because she hasn't cleaned that. She's so scared. Don't mess with the flashlight then, because then it is wicked annoying.
Okay.
What about the Goatman Bridge would be appealing to you, other than the fact that you've seen it on TV and so it's funny?
Because I think it's cool that not cool necessarily, but
come closer to me.
These people did all these things and retro big demonic Goatman.
Would you go there at night?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And do you? Okay. So here's one of the things, and I think we're going to run into this with a few of these, is that going to someplace like that at night, people know that it's infamous, and so maybe people are going to be there to mess with us intentionally. So would you be ready to throw down if something happened? Yeah. Would you want to recreate what you saw on BuzzFeed? So what do they do on BuzzFeed other than taunting? What do they do on BuzzFeed that you might want to do if we went there?
There's a spirit box.
Do they have a spirit box there?
They use the spirit box.
What else did they do there?
They did the Ouija board.
They did the Ouija board. So you would like to go to Maryland, find the Goatman Bridge, see if you can make contact with the demonic entities that are there.
And I heard that demons are more attracted to children.
Oh, so for me, it would be good because I'd be bringing children, and so therefore, we'd be able to I'd be able to use you to maybe get some
That
stuff
will be fine.
going.
And I can dance on his bridge because I officially cleaned it.
Because you don't think anything will happen. All right, so I guess we can say category 1 or approved one. I'm not going to go. The reason why I wouldn't want to do Pinehurst is because A, it's pretty famous, and B, it is probably you got to pay $90 for a tour through it. You don't get to spend the night or anything like that, and so it's not.
Can I come?
Yes, I would say definitely if anyone would like to join us on this trip,
that would be great.
We would be more than happy to meet you halfway or what have you. And maybe some of the things that we're going to talk about a little later, I can throw out a direct invite to my sister, my beloved sister. But as we continue to talk, remember that you can call to make your suggestions. You can call to make your suggestions at
813-418-6822. You have it right up top here.
I do. That's why I put it there. All right. So speaking of which, why don't you look at my number 2?
The Bunny Man Bridge / Mothman.
Yes. So one of the proposed legend trips that I'm suggesting is
the Bunny Man
instead of going to the Goatman Bridge, we can go to the Bunny Man Bridge.
What is the bunny?
I'm glad you asked. So in Virginia,
I don't like bunnies.
In
Bunnies
Virginia,
got their hoppy legs and twitchy little noses.
That's cool. So the Bunny, and we just did a show on this, so people can go back if they want more details into this. The Bunny Man Bridge is the site where supposedly there was an insane asylum. There was an escaped lunatic who went to, they were being transported and they escaped. And all of them were picked up except for 2 of them. The names are going to escape me, but that's okay. We don't really need them because they're probably fake anyway. And they escaped together. These 2 escaped together, and they made their way to this bridge. And as the police were following them, they kept finding all of these mutilated bunnies and half-eaten raw bunnies and stuff like that. Until finally they got to this bridge, which is more of an overpass. The bridge is this way, but it goes under the road. It's a railroad that goes.
I want to look at a picture of Bunny Man Bridge.
Not right now.
Oh my god.
And he had killed his partner. He had killed the guy he ran away with and hung him. And he's like, "Ha ha ha! I'm the Bunny Man. You'll never catch me." Since then, there have been all of these spottings, all of these sightings of people in bunny costumes around the area, in the woods.
Oh
they
my
find
god.
mutilated animals there all the time. It's said that if you go through, you'll start to see, because they supposedly keep finding people that are hanging there, that are people focus on me. There's nothing out there.
Scared.
And that if you go through this bridge, like, you'll see like the people you love being hung, like all of these different urban legends that are attached to it. And it's a great, it is like the quintessential urban legend, because people go there and they try to do all these things to trigger the activity like we were talking about the Goatman. Would you be interested in that?
Maybe.
So one of the interesting things, and having been in Florida now for over 10 years.
Actually, I don't know.
No, oh no, she's chickening out. Okay, first of all, come closer. You're so far away.
So
all right, so what is? So you're totally pulling an Anya right now.
Yes, I am pulling an Anya.
But tell me why.
Men in bunny suits are the creepiest thing ever.
Why do you think that is?
If you've been to the Walmart or like something like that, and there's like the Easter bunny. Like, it doesn't even matter if they're trying to be cute. It's just genuinely terrifying.
And that's one of the things we actually talked about in the episode, was this idea of, like, the Easter bunny and bunnies in general are supposed to be these symbols of niceness, and they're supposed to be these, like, cute and furry. But, like, as soon as you get a person who's dressed up like it, and keep in mind, she's obviously never seen Danny Darko, so she doesn't even have, like, that kind of imagery in her head. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't go to this bridge, close your eyes. No. So we're crossing off Bunnyman Bridge?
We're crossing.
Wow! I can't believe it. I thought you'd be like, I'm up for anything I could do.
I hate men in bunny costumes.
You hate men?
It's the scariest thing.
Or do you hate, right. So serial killer, murder, insane patient, escaped, murdering people, hanging the people that you love, filling your dreams with nightmares, perfectly fine. Guy dressed up like a bunny is where you draw the line.
Yes, sir.
How is that?
Men dressed as bunnies are terrifying.
Okay, all right. So you're just going to stick...
Especially ones that are just, like, meant to be scary.
Right. Well, I think,
Nope.
So I'm going to ditch you and go with Lorene, because... all right, so here's the next one. And this was kind of going
I go during maybe the day. But definitely not at night.
Definitely not at night.
Never, ever.
And this kind of goes with both of the ones that we just talked to, because I think they're close enough. No matter where we go, I think we can hit different locations, because we're not going to drive for 18 hours straight. We're going to stop, off several different times. The next one I have proposed for you kind of goes with the first two that we talked about. And that is Mothman.
Yeah, Mothman!
Whoa.
Mothman.
Okay, so what do you know about Mothman?
Mothman is half moth, half man.
And
he lives in
Point Pleasant.
Point Pleasant.
Where's Point Pleasant? What state?
Virginia.
West Virginia. So, in addition to watching BuzzFeed, Ella's also been dipping her toe into Hellier, but she can't watch it for too long without getting freaked out. And so she watches little bits of it, and then I'll come out here, and it'll just be frozen, and there'll be like one of the guys, like Newkirk, will be like, on my screen. And that's where Ella got freaked out. So Mothman is a famous case. Do you want me to talk about it, or do you know?
I think you should talk about it, because you know more than I do.
Right, and we could do an entire, year's worth of stuff on Mothman. But if you don't know Mothman, what are you doing watching this show?
What are you doing? Like, my friend took a picture of like a black blur in the sky the other day.
Yeah.
And I was trying to joke with him, and I went, "It's the Mothman, run!" And then my friend asked me who Mothman was, and I'm officially disappointed.
You're officially, he didn't actually know.
No, her. It was Destiny.
Oh, it's Destiny. Destiny doesn't know much. She was probably asleep when someone was talking about it. So Mothman is a famous case out of Point Pleasant, and probably, like, if there were a Mount Rushmore of paranormal, like paranormal in the United States, or like famous cases, like connective cases, unexplained cases, Mothman would definitely be on there. And Mothman is the best explanation for him physically is that he looks somewhat like a half moth, half man.
And I think the
gigantic wings from the back or wings to the side. If you've seen, it's funny because as soon as Ella started getting into Mothman, was the day that on my feed popped up when Natalie and I had gone to Point Pleasant on our way to Indiana. So the way the case goes is that this cryptid or paranormal being, supernatural being, was caught and was seen by all of these people around Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and then the town in Ohio that is across the river from it. The actual intensity and frequency of the appearances of this creature, like they increased over a certain amount of time. People came in, like famous people like John Keel went in to look into it. Lauren Coleman, I'm not sure, actually went to Point Pleasant at the time that was going on. And a lot of weird things happened, and it kind of led up to the Point Pleasant Bridge, which was called the Silver Bridge, the Silver City Bridge, or something like that.
And that's like one of the most famous sightings of Mothman.
Right. He was seen on the bridge, and then the bridge collapsed. The bridge collapsed. And so it's one of those places, things that it's been really done over. They have a Mothman festival. They have the Mothman Museum.
They have a Mothman festival?
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to the Mothman festival.
They also have the store and everything like that. So it's one of those places where you can really get caught up in the idea of legend tripping. You can go to all the different spots that are mentioned in the case, things like that.
Point Pleasant is like their mascot, I'm pretty sure, is Mothman.
And it is, like Rita says in the chat room, it is one of those things where there are so many different theories. An alien who goes through a portal is one of them. That it's an actual demon, that it's an angel. I mean, it really runs the spectrum of what pretty much every kind of paranormal thing that is out there at one time or another has been attributed to Mothman. So it's a really interesting place to go because it is a town steeped in it. Now, I'm not sure of when you go now. When Natalie and I went, and that was only a few years ago.
For the Mothman?
Yeah, when we went to go see like the site of Mothman.
Really?
We didn't run into a lot of people. We didn't talk to a lot of people. So I don't know if they like totally shun it or if they're like embrace it. Like you think they're at least a part of the town embraces it.
We have a Mothman
But it's
statue.
interesting. Yeah, I have a picture of me at the Mothman statue.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So we're thinking Mothman is a potential yes. And Mothman's a really good one because it is like a certain amount of time away. We can hit something on the way there. And if it's an endpoint, or if it's not an endpoint, there are other places we can go.
I also think that like Mothman is not as aggressive as like some of the cryptids you mentioned.
I think you're walking in the footsteps of something that happened a long time ago. And so it's not nearly as intimidating because you're really kind of, rather than legend tripping and trying to get Mothman to show himself, you're actually just kind of going to the places that are mentioned in the story. So I'm kind of like meh on Mothman just because of that reason. First of all, it's not a ghost.
I know.
I'm much more into ghosts, although we could argue that it is. But also the idea that like we're gonna go to the place and then we're gonna like touch the plaque of the bridge, like go and take a picture from the statue. I don't know if I want to drive 2 days to like touch a statue and go, we did it. Although that is kind of the fun, right? Because again, if you have suggestions, you can post them in the chat room.
Or
you can call us at 813-418-6822. And if it's post-show, you can email me at spookytripping@gmail.com or post here in Facebook.
Or you can still call.
Yeah, right, because the show's still going on. So I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure, because what else you got to do, that Lorene is still in the room. So the next suggestion that I have is whether it is plane, train, or automobile, we go to Massachusetts.
Or?
Legend trip. Now,
plane, train, or automobile?
In other words, whether we fly up there or whether we drive up there, that we take a trip to New England, we take a trip and we do a legend trip in Massachusetts.
You kidnap Lorene.
And kidnap Lorene along the way. Now, how does that sound to you just kind of on the surface?
Auntie Lorene.
How does that sound to you?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Who is this?
Nothing. Go.
I would be up with it.
Yeah, you would be up to going to New England to do a legend trip?
Sure.
Now, what places, keep in mind, we're legend tripping, we're not investigating, right? What places would you want to look at? Like, now that she's heard Mothman, it's like nothing else will be like, everything else is just this. What would you want to do if we went to Massachusetts? Where would you want to go? Yes, there's an entire state. Perhaps you've read some books by Christopher Bolzano. Where would you want to go?
What's it called?
What?
It's water something. Water shape? I forgot what it's called.
Water shape.
I forgot what it's called.
The point in your life when you realize your extremely literate daughter has not read your books about the Bridgewater Triangle. Is that what you're trying to say?
I said water.
She said the water shape. Bridgewater. This is the point where I push her out of the show. But you didn't get too far into the documentary because you were aggravated at the way they were pronouncing our name. Balzano. Is that some thing you would want to do? You would want to go to the Bridgewater Triangle?
You?
Well, I don't think we can go to the you house, but there are several different places we could go in New England. We were watching today the one about Salem.
Salem Witch Trials,
Yeah. Would you have any interest in doing some of the legend tripping about the Salem Witch Trials?
Sure.
Now, what's interesting with that is that I've been to several of those locations that were mentioned in that video or in that episode.
Darn it.
But I'm not an expert, so I would kind of have to do the research to do that as well, or maybe hook up with someone who's well versed.
Because you have.
Well, Lauren Coleman's not exactly a Salem Witch Trial person.
Salem Witch Trials? I thought we were still talking about the Bridgewater Triangle.
No, we're not. So you don't seem like you're too enthused to do that.
What?
You're too enthused to go up to New England.
I am.
Like, you were like, Mothman, jumping up and down.
Tea.
Like, go see your family in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And you're like, meh, who knows?
I would.
Uh-huh.
What is that in the corner?
What is what in the corner? That's the bathroom.
No, but what is that?
That's my bedroom light on.
No, that's
right there. That's fine. Don't worry about that. All right, so here's what I want to do. So this one has been on my bucket list. I talked about it a little bit.
Yay!
I'm going to bring in a special guest because I want to discuss this one as a family.
Oh God!
So I'm calling in.
No.
I'm calling in a special guest.
Dad, don't do it.
We're hoping that he comes in with his clothes on like the last time.
God, no.
The last time he made an appearance on the show, he came out without a shirt on. And was like, "What's going on over here?" Like the old man is. We're bringing in the third member of the posse.
He got a shirt.
Big Evans, he's got a shirt on. This is Devin Lee Balzano. You can pull the chair up from over there over to here. So
you see the pure
this one, these two do not get along. But I think it's also important. So we're bringing in the third part of our posse here, which is Devin. And you can get a little closer so that people can see you. And this is, what's up? And we're going to do it like this. We'll like this. We can get everybody in here. This one pertains to you. Okay. And so I want to get your reaction. So Devin has never really been on a live show. So he doesn't really know the rules. So if he gets a little intense, we'll understand why. Mm-hmm. So here's my suggestion. This was a bucket list. And this was, I proposed this a little bit ago. Stop trying to look at it. And this would be, I think in some ways, it would be almost in honor of my friend who's passed, and that would be a haunted rock and roll trip.
Hell yeah.
Okay, can't swear.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, good.
But yes, I would definitely want to.
You haven't even heard what I've got to say.
Yeah, I don't need to.
So this would be, and you can tell Ella's thing. This would be a collection of several trips.
Please don't tell me it will be a Randy Rhodes crash site.
No, Randy Rhodes. We're definitely doing the Randy Rhodes crash site, which is in Leesburg, Florida, which is part of like what I'm doing now. This is something that's a little bit, and I might have talked about this on another episode, but we would leave the fine state of Florida. We would make our way. Well, actually, before we left the state of Florida, we would go to the cemetery where the Allman brothers
Oh,
are buried.
now hold up. I'm interested.
Okay, why is that
I'm gonna
interesting to
choke
you?
myself.
Well, one, because Dwayne Allman was, in everyone's opinion, the best slide guitar player of all time. And on a list, I think he was ranked number 7 or number 6. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I did not know that he was like people honored him like that. I thought, oh, it's just a normal dude that passed away.
So, I mean, what do you guys know about the legend of the cemetery?
All I know is that the greatest slide guitar player of all
The
time.
Legend of the Allman Brothers?
Yeah.
So it's
All I know-
basically that this one dude, sick, almost dead in the hospital. Guy runs out. Lord save him, just one more year.
Yep.
Goes back
Okay,
in.
so
Oh
so
my
you
God,
guys
he's
know
alive.
so
One more year.
it's actually
die. One more year. Die.
And I'm not sure. I think that they're the same. I think that they're the same cemetery. The cemetery is actually in Georgia, right? So we would make our way to Macon, Georgia, and Macon, Georgia is a site where the Allman Brothers used to play in a cemetery, and from a certain location within the cemetery, you can see all of the headstones with names of the girls from their songs. So they're famous for having several, and they used to go there and used to play in the cemetery. Yep, you can see Jessica, you can see Elizabeth Reed, you can see Martha, you can see Melissa, and you can actually go there and stand at that spot, as well as offer them condolences, because 3 of them are buried there.
Maybe
So
drop off a
Greg,
slide.
Dwayne, and Barry Oakley are all buried there.
Quick question. And
Yes.
Chat, you can answer this. Would it be kind of weird?
Did he just say, chat, you can answer this?
Oh
That was
my-
hilarious,
oh my
dude. Okay,
God.
go ahead. Go
Oh
ahead.
God,
If
no.
I put a slide on Dwayne Allman's gravestone,
He's a natural. He's a natural legend.
will
tripper.
Dwayne Allman haunt me or will he bless me for guitar playing?
Well, I don't know. Let's talk about that in a few moments, okay? The next place we would go, also in Macon, Georgia, would be the site of both of their deaths. So as Ella was hinting at, and as she now goes off camera, as Ella was
I'm
hinting
going to
at,
cry.
the story goes that
Call me back
go
when
here.
you're not talking about one of the most
Nope,
stupid
because you've
music
got
genres.
to. Okay, so you're gonna just slide out of the camera range for a
Hey.
bit.
Go Dwayne Allman.
All right. So
I'm
as
going to chat you
so this is definitely not Ella endorsed. What are you doing? Don't
She's
touch
touching my slide.
Don't no hitting.
And she's trying to kill me with the slide.
So and of course she blew out the candle because that's what Ella does for some reason.
Candle was never lit.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
So the idea is stop, please. The idea is we would go to Vanderbilt, which is where Barry Oakley supposedly, after Dwayne's first initial overdose, made a pact with the devil to, or the god or the devil, to have Dwayne live one more year.
Mm-hmm.
And we would then make our way to Macon, although we'd be in Macon initially. We would go to, that's in Tennessee, Vanderbilt. And we would go to the strip, not a strip club. No. We would go to the highway, to the road
Where
that
Dwayne
both
died.
Dwayne and Barry Oakley died. So the legend continues on that Dwayne lives, and then he a year to the day he dies on a motorcycle accident.
Mm-hmm.
And then a year
Almost too
later,
soon.
that was sweet. And then a year later, Barry dies
The exact same road.
on the exact same road
night.
in a motorcycle.
The
And
exact
so we'd
same-
go to that site and we would try to make contacts with
Play the
the
Ouija
spirits of
board?
the Allman Brothers. I don't know if we play the Ouija board. We play something. So that part of it would involve the cemetery.
Full
It would
BuzzFeed
involve the
style.
road. We were talking about like, being inspired by
Dwayne,
those people.
are you there?
And then it's my slot now, Dwayne. And then Vanderbilt University Hospital, like going to those 3 different locations to see if we could stir up
Any
the
information?
spirits of it. Along with that, we would make our way to Rosedale, Mississippi, because do you know, Devin, what happened in Rosedale, Mississippi?
Robert Johnson sold his soul to. I was trying to
love my
say
kids.
it.
I am totally raising them right. Yes.
Robert Johnson sold his soul to the devil.
That is the
to
site.
bring rock and roll and blues into our lives.
Well, at least to become the most famous blues musician and inspiring
Bro,
entire
there's something fun to do on the floor.
100 years. So yes, we would actually go to the crossroads. Now,
Where he made a
that
pact
said,
with the devil.
back up now so she can get back in.
Okay.
So we would go to where he sold his soul to the devil for the ability to play the blues and bring the blues to the world, to the people. So let me ask you guys this. I think it'd be better if you back up.
Okay.
So we can get everyone to back up.
I did.
You
What a
roll
goody
in.
teenager.
Beautiful. Now you can come. Now you can come closer. All right. If you went to the crossroads, and there's also a curse of going there. R. Gary Patterson famously went there and took some dirt, and he had some unusual thing happen. So there's a lot of paranormal activity that happens.
Did he die at 27?
No, he coined the phrase the 27 Club.
He started, like, he made
He's the one that coined it, yes. Obviously, you've gotten really far into the book that I bought you about by R. Gary Patterson. What would you sell your soul to the devil for? We're not making any pacts. Devil, we're not doing that. We're just talking about what we would if we had that opportunity. What would you sell? Ella, what would you sell your soul to the devil for
Let me think.
if you went to the crossroads?
Let me think.
Okay,
If I went to
Devin?
the crossroads,
Yes.
probably I'd sell my soul to the devil for,
Say it.
I don't know.
He's not saying he's going to sell his soul to the devil. He's saying like, oh, in that
Sell my
imaginary
soul.
scenario, I would do this.
I would sell my soul to the devil. If I had the choice to, I would sell my soul to the devil to be able to form a band at age 14.
You'd be 15 at this. Oh, no, you wouldn't be. You'd still be 14, yeah.
Yeah. Like, sell my soul to the devil.
Doesn't he go missing for 2 years or shit?
Whoa, Ella!
Yo!
I meant to say stuff, but the wrong thing came out. I meant to
Yes,
say
Robert
stuff.
Johnson
swearing
disappears, but Devin is not going to disappear, hopefully, after.
I'm not gonna disappear. I'm just gonna say, hey,
I meant
devil.
to say stuff, but the wrong thing came out.
Okay, that's fine. So you would sell your soul to play music.
Mhm.
So you would be like Robert Johnson. How about you, Al?
I
You've had
guess
time to think now. This is really hot in here.
Not even close.
being like the best actress. I
So you would
guess.
okay. So you would do for an actress thing. Okay,
Or
not sure what I.
paranormal investigation.
Not sure what I would. Although that would be somewhat ironic. So what do we think? What do we think about that? What are the? Where's our rating for that? Ella is a no-go at all. Devin, what do you think?
maybe the
Devin
last,
pulling the teenage vote of
Yeah, sure.
maybe the
Yeah,
last
sure.
one.
I'm down.
Maybe.
The last one. So you're like, once again, not the let's go to these places that have this paranormal twinge and this legend, but let's go sell our souls.
Yes.
So sell our souls, man. I'm down.
I want to sell.
Okay, don't even joke like that. That you're like,
I
I'm
want to
totally down
sell Fun Dips, which somebody ate.
No, somebody hid. The ghost that ate has been eating all the candy all weekend.
And then when I was looking for the tea bags, the ghost mysteriously shoved the Fun Dip off the counter, and I saw it. And
Okay,
I put
good.
it in another
So
spot.
that's the thing. So what do you guys think, audience? What do you think is the rock and roll legend? The rock and roll legend trip. So just to recap really quickly, because some people are coming and going. What we've talked about so far is a trip to New England, focusing on Salem and maybe the Bridgewater Triangle, as long as Lauren Coleman's not there, apparently.
If Lauren Coleman's there, I'm gonna beat him up. I'm gonna jump.
Stop.
He's famous.
2, and these are not in order. A rock and roll extravaganza.
With only the selling the souls of the devil.
No, you'd hit all of them.
I don't really
But the
care.
other thing to that is we would go to Nashville, and it'd be kind of cool to go to Nashville.
Well,
It's
Leonard
music.
Skinner
It's
songs.
music city.
Wait,
It's like
City,
wait,
really-
wait,
yeah.
wait, wait, wait,
So
wait.
Not the
really
Mothman.
cool.
Wait, Dad,
I haven't done
question.
it yet. The next one is Mothman,
Wait, I have a question.
which Ella has been really. Hold on one second. Let me recap first. Ella's been really hip on the Mothman, going to visit the Mothman, and potentially while we're at visiting Mothman, Bunnyman Bridge or Goatman Bridge.
Yeah, just go, man. Just go.
Go,
Okay.
man.
Just find your bridge. It's my bridge
And
now.
those are the ones that we've got so far, right? That we've said. So people can kind of go off on what they think those are before I bring
think
in the last one.
We're doing the last one. It's like a.
Okay, Devin, what's your question?
I recently learned that Leonard Skinner. I thought the whole time they were from Alabama. They're actually from Nashville.
Oh my
But-
god.
They're from.
Oh.
Pretty sure they're from Florida.
My
Yeah,
god.
Nashville.
Go ahead. Okay, Nashville and Florida are not anywhere near each other. But go ahead.
Okay,
Continue.
well,
Barbie.
either way, I don't
Okay.
care. I learned that Ronnie Van Zant,
Yeah.
Cassie Gaines, and then the guitar player, whatever his name is, Gaines, they
Uh-huh.
all died in the Mississippi swamp. And didn't Jeff Buckley die in the Mississippi swamp as well?
I'm pretty sure Jeff Buckley did not die in a swamp. I'm pretty sure Jeff Buckley died in a hotel room or something like that.
I think I've heard that.
I'd have to check up on that though.
Yeah, but
it's in your book though. It's in the book.
If we go to the Mississippi swamp,
We're not going to the Mississippi swamp.
I know, I'm just saying.
But continue.
If we were to go there
at
night and try to make contact with Leonard Skinner and get it on film, would that be crazy or just
I think that's
completely messed up?
I think that's kind of what Tripping on Legends is. And I think, but before we did that, I'm pretty sure they're from Jacksonville or up near that area.
Yeah,
I would go to some spots that were made, and that would be the idea of legend tripping, is I would go to those spots in Jacksonville that were important in their life. That were important in their life.
Why Leonard Skinner is the question.
Why Leonard Skinner?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've often talked about how there is a connection there's a connection between Leonard Skinner and Robert Johnson in terms of like the influence and Freebird is supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken, Freebird is about Dwayne Allman.
He's very.
You know what I'm saying? So
I thought that, but doesn't this is something we can totally talk about. But I'm pretty sure Freebird has like 69 solos in it. So.
Okay, interesting number. Moving on.
All right.
Okay.
Do I have to stay?
No, you don't have to stay. I just wanted to
All
get
right.
your
See
opinion.
you guys. Peace out.
Yeah, get out.
Okay.
Oh my god.
So I think it was hilarious that we're talking about this road trip in which they would spend hours in the car together and they couldn't spend 5 minutes. Here's the last one.
Is it the one? Is it the one?
What do you mean the one?
The one that we were talking about?
What? Which one we were talking about before?
The R one. R.
Oh no. No, thank you. Why don't you go to that one? And actually, we'll make that the last. We'll make that the last one. What I was proposing was a whole bunch of interesting places in Missouri. Missouri, once again, is about probably 15 hours away from us, so it's not that far. We could hit things on the way. But there are so many interesting things to do in Missouri. There is Bone Hill and Wilson Creek, which are Bone Hill was named that because so many Native Americans hunted buffalo there, and they would lay the carcasses out to dry. That people found the bones and things like that, and it said that you can still hear the buffalo actually like going through.
That's not scary.
Well, I think if you heard Phantom. Still can't say the word. If you saw that, then you would be. If you heard that, then I think they would be freaked out. But there's also buried treasure and supposedly ghosts that come back to this hill to look for their to look for their treasure that they buried there.
Oh, I have.
They have Slade Cemetery and Bridge, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Thanks for the advice, Rita.
Which is a bridge that was so supposedly this guy was wicked sketchy, and he murdered his wives and he buried them.
Wives? Plural?
Wives, like plural.
How many
and then there
wives
were a
did he
lot
have?
of. I couldn't find that. I would have to do a deeper dive.
6.
But this cemetery and this bridge, because I love a haunted bridge. I love ghost
haunted bridges.
Is also the site of a suicide. So it seems as if the woman hung herself from the bridge because she had murdered her child. And it's especially active when children are on the bridge. And so I thought it would be really great to bring.
Here's my sacrifice.
And there's a Mothman type thing and stuff like that. So Missouri is definitely an interesting place.
I want to go to Missouri.
Okay. Let's talk about the trip that inspired this entire idea, or the location that inspired this entire idea, because I think this is the one that I really want to do. And I think this is one that both you and Devin can agree on. And can you tell us what that is?
The Lost County of Roanoke.
Lost Colony.
Colony. Sorry.
You said county, but that's okay.
Same difference.
What do you know about the mystery of the Lost Colony of Roanoke?
So the Lost Colony of Roanoke is like this group of people, 115 people, who came from England in 1587, I believe. And they came down to, where was it? Roanoke Island.
North Carolina.
North Carolina, Roanoke Island. And they came to Roanoke Island. And, within the first month of settlement, they got an Indian attack, and so basically, like they were like, "Oh shoot, we forgot a lot of our supplies. Like we don't have enough supplies." So
I love her version of the story. Continue.
I'm doing it based on BuzzFeed.
No, I know she's doing the Ella version of the BuzzFeed version. Go ahead.
So they sent John White, which is like the leader of it, back to England, but he took like 3 years because England was on the verge of war with Spain. And when he came back 3 days, definitely not 3 days. 3 years later, the entire colony was gone with
had disappeared.
And the only thing that like it was like telling them anything was etched into a fence post, Croatoan, and etched into a tree, crow.
And so the entire colony was lost, and that's one of the great mysteries of history.
There are 5 theories.
Even before America was America, is what happened to the lost colony, and they really do a good job in that area of setting those things up. Like you can go and you can visit both where the Roanoke Colony was, as well as where what do you call it? Like where Croatoan, where Croatoan Island is. There's a ton of like ghost tours, things like that. And you can go to all the different locations that were important.
There are 5 theories.
Okay, Ella's, you're going to go over the theories of Roanoke?
Yes, sir.
Ella's going to go over the theories of Roanoke. I'm just going to sit back and drink coffee.
There are
she's
5,
the expert, I guess.
5 theories. And the first theory is that they got killed by Indians, which makes
Native
sense. Native Americans. And number 2 is that...
That's probably what happens.
Probably. But they John White brought like a Native American, and he was like a Croatoan, I think. He's a Croatoan, and then he was like, "You will be the leader of the Croatoan."
You don't need to get into that much detail.
And so so I think that they joined the nearby local, like the nearby Croatoan.
I'm just gonna text
Native American tribe. They have descendants near there. What?
Go ahead.
But then number 3, there's like this star on the map. It's like a little blotch, like a map that John White made.
Yeah.
There's like a blotch, and it looks like there's a star drawing over it. And so it's like somebody like drew a star, then patched it up, then drew over it.
Yeah.
And some people think that they moved inland towards that star,
which may have been a fort.
And then.
Or could have been. Go ahead, continue.
And then the 2 other theories are that kind of insane, but.
Well, we do insane here.
The 4th one is that they got abducted by aliens, and that the star was at the land site where they are now, or where they were.
Right.
And the 5th one, probably the most insane, is that they all got wiped out by a zombie plague.
And there's actually in this episode they present evidence as to why a zombie plague would make sense, which I think is kind of crazy. So, and also then of course there's probably my insane one. Like I think that some of them were wiped out, some of them intermarried, and some of them kind of were incorporated in the tribe. My paranormal supernatural one is much more of like a time slip or like fell into a vortex kind of a thing than zombies or aliens. But that's my own personal one. But I think it would be interesting to go, and I think it would be interesting to, it would be a really good example of teaching history, teaching all of these different kinds of things. And of course, based on the distance of it, we would be able to hit something on the way there, like in South Carolina. We've been invited to go someplace in South Carolina. So somewhere in South Carolina or someplace like in Tennessee or Georgia on the way there, so we wouldn't have to do the straight 18-hour trip or 15-hour trip straight there, and then we could spend a few days there. So I'm kind of leaning towards that. If I can't do the rock and roll one, I am definitely leaning towards that one because I think. But then again, I've been to North Carolina, like Tripping on Legends went summer trip to North Carolina a few years ago, and so I think like, oh yeah, but I've been there. Like, come on now. But that's definitely a possibility. Please vote. Please tell us what you think. We're winding the show down, right? So the important thing is that you tell us what we should do. We can't decide. As you can tell, we are three people of three separate minds on this of where we should go. So we really need people to, A, give us feedback on which one of the ones we've suggested might be the best, but then suggest your town. Like if you have a legend in your town that you think Tripping on Legends should look into going into spring break. And our spring break here in Florida is in March. Where should we go? Now, of course, all of this is, dependent upon how much time you have to devote to OM if you guys win or end up going to states. But imagine that we have at least 5 days that we could be out there in the field. So what is your story? What is your local legend? As opposed to Ella, I'm not adverse to going to someplace in Florida, specifically in Central Florida, to look into some things. I think being close to home is not that bad. But where should we go? So whether you're responding to one of ours or you're presenting one of your own, please contact us. You can give us a call at 813-418-6822 if you are listening to this post-broadcast. But you can definitely, I love Rita, you can definitely email it to us at spookytripping@gmail.com. And while you're at it, please follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/trippingonlegends. And of course, our new site that's connected to us is facebook.com/this town is myth. We're at Spooky Tripping on Instagram as well, and we're doing a lot of myth stuff, This Town is Myth stuff, and Tripping on Legends with that. And of course, you can go to our website, trippingonlegends.wordpress.com, and you can follow me on Twitter at Spooky Balzano. And what's your Twitter? What's your Snapchat?
Your mom.
What's your mom? Wow. So hit us up on any of those different platforms with your best idea, and we will keep you apprised of what we are doing. You can tell she's getting literally punchy. We'll keep you appraised on what our decisions are and our preparations for that trip on all of those different platforms. So, for Christopher Balzano, I'm Christopher Balzano.
And I'm Ella Balzano.
And here's hoping all your trips
are legendary.
I don't know if I could stand being in a car with these kids for 18 hours straight. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks for stopping by.
You too.
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to the audience.
You
I
haven't.
could care less what kind of night you have. I know what night you're having. You're going to